This is what's going on in the factory farms. That is why I'm so angry that you ex-vegans are coming out on the internet and saying that you are no longer vegan. I don't have a hammer, or at least I don't know where it is. So I have this tequila bottle, and, you know, oh, let's try that again. Nope, nope, okay, this one's being tough. Oh! Title of the video, why I'm so angry. It's her saying this here, this is what's going on in the factory farms. That is why I'm so angry that you ex-vegans are coming out on the internet and saying that you are no longer vegan, that you've incorporated some fish and eggs and whatever back into your diet. Okay, so, whoa. So here's my response. What if we could inspire more people to eat plant-based, but not 100%, 1000% all the time, perfectly vegan? Okay? Because you do not know how many more people in my life have started to eat plant-based meals because of me, and more so since I've been less extreme. When I tell people that, you know, I'm vegan mostly, but if there's like a cookie that my grandma baked for Christmas and it has eggs in it, I'm gonna eat it, people smile.
In 2019, most people talk about expectations based on your appearance in terms of privilege. Problem here is not pretty girl privilege. It's really the opposite. I think Izzy can't imagine and can't quite get to grips with the extent to which she is really being trivialized and talked down to when people in this condescending way smile at her, are positive and encouraging, when she reveals that she herself does not live up to the moral standards that she preaches for others to follow, or that she encourages others to follow, to put it that way. Now, just as Izzy Davis has all the advantages and disadvantages of being a small, non-threatening, and somewhat cute female, I have all the disadvantages of being a large and scary male. I have scary guy privilege, and I know it. There was a teacher of mine, so this was a Chinese language teacher in Canada. So she's ethnically Chinese. She grew up, Chinese is her first language in the Chinese culture. She lived most of her life in Taiwan. And, when I told her that I was vegan, she laughed and said, "Oh no, after you've lived in China for a year, you'll go back to eating meat. Like after you lived in China for even a few months, And I just looked at her and I said, "Do you think I'm weak?" And she said, all of the other students who went to China, some of them just went for like 4 weeks and 6 weeks. Most of the programs they had, they were not even a few months long. It was like 6 week, course in China or something. She said all the students who went over to China and came back, she said all of them who were vegetarian gave up and went back to eating meat. And I said, they were weak. And there were other people in the room. And I mean, for me, it kind of is slow burn humor. It is kind of hilarious, but it was deadpan serious. Right. They were eliminated either due to their weakness or their immorality. But, what does it mean for people to smile and laugh at you, for people to be warm to you, for people to be nice to you, for people to say good for you, when you tell them that you can't live up to your own moral standards.
You know, I'm vegan mostly, but if there's like a cookie that my grandma baked for Christmas and it has eggs in it, I'm gonna eat it. People smile. People like that.
When you tell them that you really have no credibility in, preaching this ethical position for others to follow, because you don't strive sincerely even to follow it yourself. I've known a lot of good-looking women who struggled with the extent to which they were never taken seriously. I've never known anyone who suffered or regretted that they were taken too seriously.
I see this sub-movement coming up now of like 95% plant-based within the nutrition world as well. There's a lot of research to support that, and I'll have to make a whole entire separate video that could go on and on about why. But here's the argument. If you're gonna use the voting with your dollar approach to try your best to end animal agriculture and not contribute to the terror, right? If you're going to use that approach, then it does make logical sense to try to go for the masses. And I don't think the masses are willing to go 100% vegan. I don't think they are. And whether or not you want to live in the fantasy land where everyone's going to go vegan in your lifetime and this is all going to just be rainbows and ponies, great. You can live in that, but it's not going to happen.
The vegan movement does not need 100% of the population to become vegan for it to win. The abolition of slavery did not wait for 100% of the population to decide at a ballot box that they wanted to abolish slavery. For veganism to make progress, for veganism to fundamentally change society, for veganism to achieve its long-term goals, we neither need 100% nor 51% of people to become vegan. What percentage of people were actually involved in the struggle to establish gay rights in Canada? It wasn't 51%, it wasn't 10%, it wasn't 5%. A huge percentage of Canadians were and still are conservative Christians. A shockingly large percentage of Canadians are conservative Catholics specifically. But the overwhelming majority of Canadians were simply indifferent. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that even within the city of Toronto, the majority of gay people were indifferent. It wasn't just a minority of Canadians who fought for gay rights. It was actually a minority of homosexual Canadians who were activists involved in the struggle to establish gay rights. But whether you think of that as 1% or 0.5%, they brought about legal, cultural, and social change. Very fundamentally transformed our whole society, step by step, within my lifetime. If you're watching this video, within your lifetime too. That's not the only positive example we can point to. How many people really care about the fact that cigarettes cause cancer? How many people were actively involved in lobbying government to change the labels on cigarette packages? How many people really care about drunk driving and speed limits and seatbelts? It wasn't the case that America waited for 51% of people to support the idea of seatbelts. A tiny, tiny minority of people in the United States of America, led by a guy named Ralph Nader, led a completely unpopular minority movement to push for ultimately legal changes that oppressed the whole country, that oppressed the car manufacturers. The car manufacturers fought tooth and nail. The car manufacturers wanted seatbelts to be optional, not required, and the government ultimately made the decision. No, it benefits us all as individuals. It benefits society as a whole. What veganism needs to win, what veganism needs to make progress, is not for 100% of the people to be vegan. It's not for 51% of people to be vegan. We need a tiny, talented minority who are willing to press this case for cultural as well as political change.
For me, being more flexible, being like flexi vegan, where I'm like 95% vegan, isn't a mistake. It's actually a conscious decision. It's actually for the hope that it's going to get more people to eat less animal products as a whole. But I also think that we shouldn't see these people, having cravings and going to resolve those cravings as a mistake. Why is it a mistake? If you have a craving for it, and then simultaneously you're kind of like, I'm that vegan that like has to bring a Tupperware with me every time I go to a dinner party. Maybe it makes sense to kind of like shake things up a little bit.
Remember, at Crazy Go Nuts University, the future is you. Probably.